commission, government commission for determining what has happened in Srebrenica in the period between 19th and 20th of July 1995. Without all these materials, it will not be possible to prosecute crimes against humanity and international law, nor is it possible to engage in scientific research. I can give you a specific example based on my personal, or rather based on the experience of the Commission for Srebrenica, that's part of the government of Republika Srpska. This commission has also submitted a number of documents to the ICTY, and not through use of force, it was done voluntarily. Let me repeat, it's the Srebrenica Commission. The researchers, members of this commission, have obtained very important documentation, regular combat reports issued by the main staff of the Republika Srpska Army between the 1st of July and the 31st of July 1995. Without these relevant documents, contemporaneous documents, it would not be possible for any court, including the ICTY, or to any researcher dealing with this issue to even discuss the period. And thanks to that very fact, this commission of the Republika Srpska government have carried out, and I can say without any reservation, reconstruction of the crimes against humanity and international law, not only for Srebrenica only, but in the entire area that was safe area declared by the UN.
When it comes to the scholarly contribution, one needs to keep in mind the fact that the archives and...
I didn't mean to cut you off in mid-sentence, but our time is fleeting, or has fleeted. Okay. Finish up if you can. And then, Mirko, I want to ask you, I think this is Carol.
Let me wrap it up briefly. I was mentioning the scholarly approach. We always need to keep in mind one fact, namely, the documentation is important for researchers of genocide and crimes against international humanitarian law, means a great deal because it enables them to engage in research and to apply scientific methods and procedures in order to arrive at scientifically valid and solid findings, in other words, to arrive at what is scientifically established truth. If need be, we can answer questions about what scientific truth is. And if you'll allow me to, say that in the discussion so far, we have heard mention of certain terms that were not fully defined, such as, for instance, the term of reconciliation. I should like to direct the attention of all those present to the fact that it's a term which is in frequent use, including in the countries in former Yugoslavia and at the ICTY. We have all been using a term which has not, in actual fact, been defined, and permit me to say that we don't really know what we mean by reconciliation, by facing up to the past, etc. This is an issue that should also need to be discussed. In the interests of the intentions that the Security Council had in 1993 when it was setting up this tribunal.
Bogdan, may I ask you? You've said in your reflection that if you look to particular states within the former Yugoslavia as opposed to the entire region, that there are different opinions about the relevance of the ICTY legacy to peace building. The professor has just told us about the common truth, the search for the common truth. How is that possible? Can we really reach a common truth using the ICTY records when there are different opinions about their relevance?
Pa veći deo onoga što sam ja htio da kažem su rekli već
Well, I think that Refik, Mirko Klarin and Mirza Tokađa have already said what I had to say on this issue. The only thing left for me to say is, and I don't want this to be understood as me speaking from the perspective of one ethnic group or one state. Unfortunately, I'm a Serb living in Serbia. Nevertheless, what I would like to point everyone's attention to is something that is missing from the case law of the ICTY, and I wish it was not missing because it would have contributed to the reconciliation in the area. This has to do with an aspect that was missing from the ICTY and which makes the process of reconciliation more difficult. Though let me not embark on a theoretical discussion about reconciliation. What I wanted to say should not be understood as criticism of the tribunal, although it can be interpreted that way at one level. I would merely like to raise several important topics that have become, in the Republic of Serbia and Republika Srpska, part of the collective memory and the way they all regard the 90s. This is an issue to which, unfortunately, the ICTY has not given an answer to. This is the issue of crimes committed in Srebrenica and Bratunac in 1992 and 1993, the events in Sarajevo during the siege of Sarajevo, the incidents in Tuzla and Sarajevo in April and May of 1992, when the forces of the then JNA were withdrawing, pulling out of these cities. These matters were not extensively discussed. In Serbia and Republika Srpska, the interpretation of the events is such that terrible atrocities were committed and crimes were committed at the time which were not addressed. So we are adding we're fueling the fire. And this is the attitude in Republika Srpska and the Republic of Serbia vis-a-vis the ICTY on these issues. I don't want to comment on this other than say that this is exaggerated, blown out of all perspective. Now, the issue of whether the individuals who were killed in Bratunac, Srebrenica in 1992, 1993, were they indeed civilians or not? Well, this is something that has been left open. It was not established by anyone. It was not established by the ICTY, and this therefore provides an opportunity for certain circles in Republika Srpska to engage in a narrative on the suffering of the Serbs in the area, which has been left unaddressed by the ICTY. Unfortunately, the ICTY will not have an opportunity to deal with these matters. For instance, we heard about the events in July of 1995. We heard the dissatisfaction from some of the victim associations about the fact that the ICTY has not shed light on these events. Perhaps in the Perisic case or some other outstanding cases, this will be addressed. But for the other cases, I'm afraid that during what remains of the work of the ICTY, no light will be shed on these events. And I'm drawing everyone's attention to these issues because today they may well be some of the most critical issues that place an obstacle in the way of any sensible, meaningful dialogue between the various communities in the former Yugoslavia.
This discussion over to the audience. We're interested in questions, of course. And again, let me reiterate, you may make a comment, but let's keep in mind the time constraints that we have. Okay, there's, why don't we take this woman right here with the gray hair, Your hair is about in front, the color of mine without Clairol. I have Clairol on it. Please. And then behind her. But you first, please. Wait just a minute. No, I meant you. And then...
Ja sam stvarno evo pažljivo slušala sve I...
I have been listening carefully to these discussions, and I agree with 900% of what was stated here by the panelists. But there is one point that I wanted to make even earlier on when I addressed the panelists, and that's that the ICTY has committed a disastrous mistake. After the death of Milosevic, although I, as a victim, don't believe that he simply passed away, I think that it was staged, he should have been rendered a sentence posthumously, because then the character of the war that was waged in Yugoslavia would be made quite apparent even after his death. I am quite puzzled by the fact that if someone dies, justice dies with him as well. I suppose that had that been the case, had this been done the way I said, the outcome of the trial where one state sued the other would have been different. And what Milosevic did in Belgrade would not have been rewarded. Republika Srpska would not have been created. It was created on the graves of children, on blood and hatred. In that case, I even believe that state, Republika Srpska, would have been abolished. Common folk like me, and I'm a Muslim, and I also have some Croat Catholic blood, if you will, because my grandma, who gave birth to my father, was a Catholic. I think that I, as a victim, if I may be given a moment, I go to visit Srebrenica and Eastern Bosnia and Sarajevo. I talk to the Serbs, and I know that not all the Serbs are to blame for the genocide that was committed in Bosnia and Herzegovina, just as not all the Germans are to blame for the Holocaust. So I did not have quarrel with anyone. I talk to common people.
Thank you. We have a topic, and the topic is the importance of the ICTY's legacy for the victims and the communities in the former Yugoslavia. We need to cooperate with each other and focus on that topic. I'm sure many of you have different points to make, but let's either make them as it relates to this topic or make them in another panel discussion. Yes, I had indicated you.
Hvala.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Nura Begovic. I am from Srebrenica, and I'm here as a representative of the Association of the Women from Srebrenica. I am here as an individual, but there are thousands and thousands